the Italian Football Podcast.
And that brings us on to our final segment before Baggio Premface and Serie A Ass of the Week. Juventus have been very, very busy in the transfer market over the weekend. They brought in two players, two wingers, Nico Gonzalez from Fiorentina for an initial loan, but with an obligation to buy. It's going to end up reaching around 37 to 38 million euros. 3.6 million a year contract until when I'm not sure when the contract's until. It's not 2026, it's later than that, but that's incorrect information I've got on here. But yeah, Nico Gonzalez from Fiorentina, and then Francisco Conceicao, the son of Sergio Conceicao, on more of a strange deal here. So it's going to be an initial loan for a year. There is no buy option as far as I'm concerned. Porto will receive 7 million for the loan plus 3 million add-ons, but Juventus will have the first refusal to pay the release clause of Conceicao 30 million in the first 2 weeks of July. So it is kind of like an option, really. It's just not officially an option. And that will take it to around 40 million if they in total if they eventually decide to sign him. So Conceicao, the son of Sergio Conceicao. So Juventus right now are like the 1990s child legends, aren't they? They've got like Conceicao, Sergio Conceicao's son. They've got Lilian Thuram's son. They've got
Timothy Weah.
George Weah's son, and they've got Enrico Chiesa's son, although he's going to leave. So they've got like four sons of Serie A 90s legends. It's pretty amazing, really, isn't it?
That's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, incredible.
Enrico's kid, Lilian's kid, George's kid, and Sergio's kid.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Yeah, but Chiesa's going to be sold. You think Barcelona are in talks with him, but if he is sold, it seems as though Juventus are still going to see if they can try and bring Sancho in the last stage of the window too. What is, I think, more certain is that Teun Koopmeiners is going to join eventually from Atalanta. So, I mean, my take on this is that Juventus are suddenly looking very competitive. Obviously, it's going to be a difficult job for Motta because so many new players. It's not going to be easy to get them to gel quickly. So that isn't it. That is going to be difficult. Problems come with that. But in terms of, on paper, if we look at the options, Juventus have gone from very bare, and they're very bare for the Verona game. They've barely put out a team for it. But once these players all come in, they're registered and they join. I mean, Juventus have gone from no wingers to suddenly having some pretty good winger options. Nico, Conceicao, Yildiz. I mean, if Sancho comes in as well, I mean, that's four kind of, good top quality winger options there. You've got Weah as well, Bangura, lots of options there. The midfield with Koopmeiners come in, we know is very strong. That's going to be their strongest department. The defense is not, I think is not. It's still a bit of an issue.
It's still a problem. It's a problem.
And Vlahovic, obviously, lots of questions to mark. So are there? But for me, I mean, I have to say, if this all gets pulled off, I think Juntli has ended up doing an incredible job in terms of the players, the number of players he's managed to bring in from where Juventus were. I think it's incredible. Really,
it's been a chaotic summer and an intense summer. And again, like we said before, like when people were criticizing Giuntoli, we were saying, has he overplayed his hand? At the end, at the end of the day, you really can't. The mercato, you really have to wait until it closes before you make a judgment. Obviously, you want things done as soon as possible in an ideal world, but the sheer amount of business that Juventus needed to do, the sheer amount of finances and players they needed to sell, so Weston McKennie was going to leave, but now he's extended instead. So, it's been a very fluctuating situation for Juve, and he's adapted to it very calmly. And he's, again, this is the revolution that Juve fans have been waiting for many years. This is the summer where they did it. They, out with the old, in with the new. How, we'll have to wait and see how it actually looks on the pitch. But
I'll come on to that in a minute. But I mean, just to add to what you said about Giuntoli, I think what he's done so well is financially, because people are asking, well, how can Juventus sign all these players? But if you actually look at the money that's been saved also on salaries, I mean, he saved a hell of a lot of money on salaries. The players that have been brought in are generally on much lower salaries than many of those that have left the club from last season. So they've cut a lot on the salaries, but also, a lot of these deals are, initial loans. Like if you take like Conceicao and Nico Gonzalez, just those two, well, it's a 7 million loan for Conceicao, and then for Gonzalez, was it 7 million, I think, or 8 million for Conceicao for the first year of the loan, then the obligation on top of that. So you're looking at, what's going on the books just for the transfer fees. You're looking at kind of like 15 million. Or there or thereabouts. I can't remember the exact figure of the Gonzalez loan, but it's basically you take those loan figures and that's what's going on the books this season. And they brought in two. Obviously you're pushing it down the line a little bit in terms of the finances. Next summer Juventus are probably not going to be able to spend that much because
next summer Juventus aren't doing as much. It's going to be a little bit like Inter this summer.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, I think
they're going to look for a central defender. I think they're definitely looking for a central defender because the goalkeepers have been sorted, the midfield has been sorted, the attack has been sorted.
The wings,
the wingers, yeah. They need to maybe sort out the fullbacks and the defense next summer. And we're talking 2-3 players at most. I think I don't see them doing much next summer. But yeah, this is the revolution. Like I said, 5 years. Juve fans have been waiting for a long time for something new. Well, it's here. It's a new coach. It's a completely new project. Lots of new players. Out with the old, in with the new. They're going to have to take this step by step. And see if they can offload some players and balance the books even more after that. But overall, I think they've done financially well. They've respected the parameters, it seems. No, it's something for Juve fans to finally look forward to. They've not had much to look forward to at all.
The hope is back. But if we look at Juventus's lineup, how will Juventus line up once all these players coming? Again, we're recording this before Verona, so I'm totally ignoring whatever happens in that Verona game. I'm just looking at the season as a whole. So obviously Di Gregorio will be the goalkeeper. In defence, the back four could change a little bit. I think Breme is a guarantee; he will always start. And then Cambiasso is probably generally we can say will be a starter. But whether or not he's on the right or the left will depend on who the other two players. As it stands right now, Danilo is not a starting 11 player. Motta has been quite clear on that he, as it stands right now, he's not really a first team player for Juventus, which is an interesting talking point in itself. So we're looking at probably, let's say, Cambiasso right back, Cabal left back, and then Breme and Gatti at centre backs. But there could be changes. We could see, for example, Cambiasso go left back, and then right back be either Danilo, if he can work his way back into the team, or Kalulu, who obviously has signed from Milan. Alternatively, it could be that Breme is the centre back with Kalulu, so that Gatti moves out. Gatti moves out of the team. Kalulu partners Breme, and then at full back you have Cambiasso and Cabal, or Cambiasso left back and Danilo right back. So there are a few options. I still think Juventus are probably a man short in defence, but and also in terms of quality, I think that is obviously still a bit of a weak area. But at the same time, as I said last week, I think that Juventus's midfield is so strong, and the way that Motta teams play, they like to control the game as a way to protect the defence, control possession as a way to protect the defence. I think that the Juventus defence won't be as exposed as it normally would be, given that it's not the strongest defence on paper, Juventus's defence. So that's the defence. Midfield. So the midfield there's lots of quality in the midfield. I think the first choice midfield will be Thuram and Douglas Luiz as the kind of like the two, let's say, and then the kind of the number 10 in front of them will be Koopmeiners. with the added advantage of course, that Koopmeiners can form a three. But at the same time, there are also Locatelli and Fagioli who have their own qualities. So it's possible that they will rotate in some games. Maybe Koopmeiners will play in the two. Yeah, in other games, maybe Thuram will be out and Locatelli will be in, or Luiz will be out and Locatelli or Fagioli will be in. So there's 5 good options there, and then I think McKennie will be like a backup number 10 option, maybe, or maybe he sees McKennie as maybe he's going to try and train him into a right back. I don't know. McKennie's role is quite interesting actually. I think that was more of a financial decision to extend his contract. Really, they've decided to protect his value, give him another year, and then try and sell him next year. I think there's more to that, and also it allows them to send Moretti on loan, gives them an extra number in midfield. So I think that's where McKennie plays. And then the wings, as it stands, Juventus have 5 options for the wings. They have Nico Gonzalez, Conceicao, who can both play on the right, but Nico Gonzalez can also play on the left. They have Yildiz, who can play on the left, but can also play as a 10, as we saw in the opening game against Como. And then we have Umbangula, who's a left, who plays on the wing, but he maybe potentially go back to the next gen team if Sancho comes in. We'll see if Sancho comes in. If Sancho comes in, that's 4 kind of top options for the 2 wing role, for the 2 wide roles. So you can see that the plan is to give Motta lots of options, Motta said he wants 2 players for each position, and I think Giuntoli's given him that. So we'll see what happens with Sancho. And then up front, there's Vlahovic as the starting striker, and then as it stands, there's Milik as the backup. Very slim chance that Juventus could look into bring a backup for Vlahovic on a very cheap option, maybe a loan or something, if they can get Milik out. But I think that's going to be difficult. So yeah, that's the team, Nima.
Well, there's also, just wanted to add, there's Yunus Ruhi, the Swede of Moroccan descent, who will play at left back. Who, if he's given a first team contract, but he will alternate between the next gen team and the first team, which would allow Cabal to play in the middle as well and defensively. But no, that's pretty much it. It's
well said about Cabal. He is also centre back option.
Yeah. So there is that.
There's also Savona as well, who's part of the first team squad as well, and he was he came on at half time against Como and might actually start against Verona potentially because Juventus are down to the bare bones ahead of that game. So very very active Juventus and lots of.
It's such a Thiago Motta team, isn't it? Like he's really given Motta what everything he needs and options in young players, young players that have huge potential, that can grow, and attacking minded players, lots of legs and physicality in this team, lots of technique. Aerially, they have Nico Gonzalez is very good going forward. So no, there's it's a good balanced team.
Yeah. They are covered aerially. That's a good point to make. With Vlahovic is good. Vlahovic, Nico Gonzalez, and then you've got Thuram, and then obviously the defensive players as well. Bremer, Gatti if he plays. So yeah.
No, it's looking like a complete team, and they are looking like contenders. They really are.
Yeah, listen, I think it's. We can't underestimate the job that Motta has with so many new players. That is going to be a job. But Giuntoli has done a very, very good job in bringing in so many players with the financial restraints that he has. I think he's done very well in that sense.